You're listening to the AstroMommy Newsletter read-aloud version of my daily horoscope published on Substack. If you would like to read this, please click on the link in the description box below. Without further ado, here is the daily horoscope. Heroism, Martyrdom, and Spontaneous Music. Mars square Neptune exact. Daily horoscope for Wednesday, October 12th, 2022. Welcome to the AstroMommy Newsletter, a daily horoscope that hopes to shine a light in the dark, helping us all see where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. The AstroMommy Newsletter is a reader-supported publication, meaning it only thrives thanks to the generous support of lovely people just like you. The two best ways you can support my work are to share this newsletter with a friend and to consider upgrading to a paid subscription. Whether you're a first-time reader or a long-time subscriber, thanks for being here. I truly appreciate you being in my community. I hope you enjoyed today's horoscope and card reading. Blessings. Good morning, friends. Okay, so a few housekeeping items that hopefully you are all aware of by now. You can now tailor your experience of the AstroMommy Newsletter by opting in or out of receiving the written newsletter, the podcast, and the lunar poetry ritual. All you have to do is go down to the bottom of this newsletter and click on AstroMommy Newsletter, and it will take you to Substack. From there, click on the menu and then Manage Subscription, and then check or uncheck the newsletters you'd like to receive. If you are happy with the newsletters you are receiving already, no action is needed. Also, a reminder that if you would like to book a session with me, just click on the Book a Reading link at the bottom of the newsletter to check out the services I offer on my booking site. You can send me an email anytime if you have any questions at astromommyastrology@gmail.com or reply to this newsletter. Thanks. Okay, let's get into the astrology. Well, today is an interesting day because last night, Mars in Gemini perfected its square to Neptune in Pisces, as well as Mercury in Libra perfected its opposition to Jupiter in Aries. I'm seeing several things in the news that relate to these two transits. First, Mars is the god of war, strife, attacks, and aggression. The key principles of Neptune are loss, confusion, the world dissolving, boundaries disappearing, and feeling or being lost at sea. This transit could inspire people to try to rescue other people in a show of heroism, and either they are successful or they are not. But the news this morning was littered with several articles of heroism, especially water rescues, which I thought were so fitting. Here are a couple. 3 people fending off sharks rescued just in the nick of time in the Gulf of Mexico after boat sinks. Police rescue father and son found clinging to a cooler after boat sank. Another incident that seems to be happening a lot recently are dog attacks, and this one seems unusual. I don't know, maybe it's not, but it seems very Mars-Neptune to me. 2 children killed, mother hospitalized after family pit bulls attacked them outside Tennessee home. That is awful. 80-year-old woman mauled to death by neighborhood dogs. Another awful story. And the last article that caught my eye this morning is more of an anomaly. 477 whales die in heartbreaking New Zealand strandings. According to the article, the scientific community doesn't really know why the whales beach themselves, but I wonder how often this happens in conjunction with the Mars-Neptune transit, or maybe approaching Mars retrograde throwing off their echolocation? I may just have to research this. This transit can bring up all sorts of things, bravery, heroism, and martyrdom, but also great loss, tragedy, or delusions of grandeur. Let's not forget the health issues that may come up during this transit, like drugs or alcohol-induced incidents. Those are always in the news. And people just literally losing their minds and being a little bit mental. Because it's a square, I tend to focus a little bit heavily on the negative manifestations, but a square in its nature represents action, and not all actions are inherently negative. Just last night, I experienced a beautiful and fun manifestation of the Mars-Neptune energy with my 2 young girls. My youngest found her ukulele and started jamming on it, and then offered it to me and asked me to sing a song. So I started rocking out on her little ukulele, and then my other daughter joined in, banging on a pot, and my youngest found a lid and some forks to use as drumsticks, and the next thing you know, we were rocking out, singing, and having a really good musical time. It was by no means good music, but it was good fun. I thought of Mars square Neptune as we were winding down, and how this transit can bring about beautiful music, art, theater, etc. Neptune does have magical, musical, and artistic qualities, and it takes action to produce music, and I think Mars likes to rock out. Moving on to Mercury opposite Jupiter. Mercury in Libra opposite Jupiter in Aries is like a push or a message making you have to take action. I feel like there may be a lot of ultimatums, demands, and consequences stated during this transit, like we observed yesterday with the railway workers rejecting the proposal from the government. In our personal lives, this could be us or people we are dealing with telling us what they want, or maybe we are telling someone else what we want, and then we have to weigh out the options and make a choice. Or maybe the person literally gives us two options, like when we're at a restaurant and they have two specials and the waiter says, "Would you like special A or B?" And then we have to figure out which one we want more. I think there are going to be a lot of decisions that have to be made during this transit. Thankfully, we do have the sun in a trine to Saturn, still within the 3-degree orb of engagement, so this may make us feel more secure in making a lasting decision or commitment to something that feels in alignment with ourselves. Maybe we feel that we have the wisdom or experience needed to make the hard decisions at this time. Or maybe we just know what we like, and so deciding between special A or B is easy. Let's not forget about the moon. The moon today is in Taurus all day and will be making a sextile to Neptune around noon today and then a trine to Pluto at 5:38 p.m. Eastern Time. Technically, she won't move into Gemini until tomorrow, but it will be at 1:07 a.m. Eastern Time, so we may feel the shift before we go to sleep tonight, especially on the West Coast 3 hours earlier. So I think from an emotional standpoint, this is positive energy today. The sextile to Neptune could bring up some opportunities or intuitive hits that may spark some creativity, and the trine to Pluto could also bring deep emotional needs to the forefront that could result in seeds being planted that are good for our future. So all in all, I think it may be a pleasant, passionate, and sensual day, probably filled with music, food, and good company, despite all the crappy news about dog attacks and beached whales in the wider world. It's time to pick a card for the day. What is the guidance for today? If there is a judge, you are it. Judge. On this card, we see a judge's bench with a book laying on it titled The Law. Next to the book are a gavel and a lamp. In the background of the card, you see what looks like the heads of many people inside a courtroom. The words, "If there is a judge, you are it," are written below the drawing, and at the bottom of the card you see the word judge, next to a set of scales. In the little book that accompanies this deck, the interpretation for this card reads, quote, "To avoid the tension that might result from trying to improve a situation by imposing standards on it, relax into a state of non-comparison and non-urgency. Live in reality as it presents itself instead of hoping for some incredible miracle that will occur out there somewhere, back there, or up there in the future as soon as you get it together. The above conception is purely arbitrary and may be altered to suit individual taste," unquote. Yeah, so I think that this card is reminding us that we need to stay grounded in what we know is real, what we know we are capable of, and what we know to be true in our lives. Always expecting Superman to come in and save the day is delusional and unrealistic, right? I think this card actually ties in nicely with the energies of the day, don't you? Let me know what information or downloads you get from this card in the comments. I hope this is helpful. Until tomorrow, AstroMommy.
Today's horoscope was brought to you by Mars square Neptune, Mercury opposite Jupiter, Sun trine Saturn, and the Moon in Taurus. Quick links and resources can be found at the bottom of the newsletter. Today's card was pulled from Morgan's Tarot, available on Amazon. If you purchase anything through the affiliate links that I provide in the newsletters, I will make a small commission, but there are no additional costs to you. I don't share or recommend things that I don't 100% believe in and use myself. Thanks for listening.